2018 was a huge year for movies. From big-budget blockbusters like Black Panther, Infinity Wars, and Deadpool 2, to lesser celebrated gems like Isle of Dogs, Phantom Thread, and Killing of a Sacred Deer, audiences had their pick of engaging cinema experiences. But Hollywood is showing no signs of slowing down as we ramp up for another fantastic year in film. Today, we're counting down the top 10 movies coming out in 2019. Toy Story 4. The Toy Story franchise is one of the most beloved in film history. The first installment in 1995 revolutionized the world of computer animation and revitalized animation as a form of serious storytelling. Though the movie was intended for children, it resonated with all audiences of all ages. It was also a huge commercial success. Toy Story racked up more than $370 million at the box office on a $30 million budget. The movie was the first collaboration between John Lasseter and Andrew Stanton, who would go on to create such classics as Finding Nemo, WALL-E, and Zootopia. The franchise compounded on the success of Toy Story with a much-beloved trilogy. Toy Story 2 and Toy Story 3 brought home $500 million and $1 billion at the box office respectively. Toy Story 3 in particular was hailed as one of the greatest animated films of all time. On January 25, 2011, the Academy announced that Toy Story 3 was not only nominated for Best Animated Feature, but also for Best Picture. This makes Toy Story 3 not only the first animated sequel in history to be nominated for Best Picture, but also just the third animated film to ever be so nominated, with Toy Story 3 becoming the second Pixar film to be nominated for both awards. So, fans of the franchise will be delighted to know that Toy Story 4 is under production and set for release in June 2019. The story was conceived by the writing team on the original Toy Story: Lasseter, Pete Docter, Andrew Stanton, and Lee Unkrich. Tom Hanks, Tim Allen, Annie Potts, and Laurie Metcalf will reprise their respective roles as Sheriff Woody, Buzz Lightyear, Bo Peep, and Andy's mother from the previous films, with Kristen Schaal reprising her role as Trixie from Toy Story 3. Fans can also expect Randy Newman to score the film with original music. Joker. It seems that superhero films have become the single biggest movement in popular movie history. From the massive success of Marvel Universe to the worlds of Batman, Superman, and lesser-known comics, there seems to be a new movie released every month. On top of this, there has been a huge emphasis on the role of Batman's The Joker. Many have put their own spin on the role over the years. Actors from Jack Nicholson to Zach Galifianakis and Mark Hamill have each taken a crack over the years, with mixed results. The definitive performance still seems to be Heath Ledger in Christopher Nolan's reimagining of the series in The Dark Knight. It was Ledger's obsessive devotion to this performance that famously drove him over the edge, resulting in his death. Years later, Jared Leto attempted the role for the movie Suicide Squad and took a similarly obsessive approach to his method acting. The general consensus was that Leto's performance was impressive, but it was dulled by the poor writing and production of Suicide Squad. It is an extremely difficult role to reprise given its storied past, which puts even more pressure on Academy Award winner Joaquin Phoenix to do it justice. While the story has been kept under wraps, the movie boasts an all-star cast of Atlanta's Zazie Beetz, Robert De Niro, and Mark Maron. Additionally, Todd Phillips, director of Due Date, Old School, and the Hangover sequels, was tapped to direct the film. This prompted theories that the film would have a lighter, funnier tone, but press materials quickly dispelled these hypotheses. Regardless of the content, audiences can't wait for the Joker's October 2019 release date. The Lion King. For many years, Disney's The Lion King was used as the high watermark for animated film. The Lion King received 4 Golden Globe and Academy Award nominations. The film would go on to win 2 Golden Globes for Best Motion Picture for Musical or Comedy and Best Original Score, as well as 2 Academy Awards for Best Original Score for Hans Zimmer and Best Original Song with Can You Feel the Love Tonight by Elton John and Tim Rice. The songs Circle of Life and Hakuna Matata were also nominated. Can You Feel the Love Tonight also won the Grammy Award for Best Male Vocal Performance. The Lion King also won Annie Awards for Best Animated Feature, Best Achievement in Voice Acting for Jeremy Irons, and Best Individual Achievement for Story Contribution in the field of animation. Aside from this, The Lion King earned $422 million in North America and $545 million in other territories for a worldwide total of almost $1 billion. It is currently the 35th highest grossing film of all time, the 7th highest grossing animated film of all time, and the third highest-grossing film of Walt Disney's animation studios, behind Frozen and Zootopia. After its initial run, having earned $763 million, it ranked as the second highest-grossing film of all time worldwide, behind Jurassic Park. There have been attempts to rekindle the glory of the first Lion King, but none as ambitious as the new Lion King movie slated for July 2019 release date. The film will be directed by Jon Favreau, produced by Walt Disney Pictures, and written by Jeff Nathanson. The film stars the voices of Donald Glover, Beyoncé, James Earl Jones, who reprises his role from the original film, Chiwetel Ejiofor, Billy Eichner, Seth Rogen, John Caney, John Oliver, and Alfre Woodard. Captain Marvel. It's true that DC Comics has beat Marvel Studios to the box office with their first female-led superhero blockbuster movie in the form of 2017's Wonder Woman. But the folks at the House of Ideas truthfully aren't trailing too far behind. As was officially announced in October 2014, the comic book studio is officially moving forward with a Captain Marvel movie. And it will be here before you know it. Given the source material and the talent involved, it's easily one of our most anticipated projects of the upcoming year, and we'll be keeping a very close eye on it. Captain Marvel is super strong, can fly, both absorbs and projects energy, and even has limited precognitive abilities. In addition to her own run of comics, she's also been a part of many different teams and organizations over the years in the Marvel world, including the Avengers, S.H.I.E.L.D., and the Guardians of the Galaxy. So, needless to say, Captain Marvel is overdue for her own movie. The film is written and directed by Anna Boden and Ryan Fleck, with Meg LaFauve, Nicole Perlman, Geneva Robertson-Dworet, Liz Flahive, and Carly Mensch also contributing to the screenplay. Brie Larson stars in the title role alongside Samuel L. Jackson, Lee Pace, Lashana Lynch, Clark Gregg, and Jude Law. The release is expected in March 2019. New Avengers Film. The untitled Avengers film, supposedly referred to as Avengers 4, is one of the hottest projects in Hollywood. It is intended to be the direct sequel to 2018's Avengers Infinity War, as well as the sequel to 2012's Marvel's The Avengers and 2015's Avengers Age of Ultron, and the 22nd film in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, or MCU. The film is directed by Anthony and Joe Russo, with a screenplay by the writing team of Christopher Marcus and Stephen McFeely, and features an ensemble cast with many actors from previous MCU films. It comes hot on the heels of one of the biggest movies in history. Its predecessor, Infinity Wars, bagged more than $2.5 billion at the box office, making it the fourth highest-grossing film of all time. But keep in mind that the budget was a full $400 million. Making it one of the most expensive movies in film history as well. It's a lot of hype to live up to, and though the film is confirmed that Robert Downey Jr., Chris Hemsworth, Mark Ruffalo, Chris Evans, Scarlett Johansson, and others will reprise their roles, no information has been released about the plot. Regardless, Marvel fans are already thrilled for this May 2019 release date. Frozen 2. Frozen was one of the most famous and beloved animated films of all time. It won 2 Academy Awards for Best Animated Feature and Best Original Song for Let It Go, the Golden Globe Award for Best Animated Feature Film, the BAFTA Award for Best Animated Film, 5 Annie Awards, including Best Animated Feature, 2 Grammy Awards for Best Compilation Soundtrack for Visual Media and Best Song Written for Visual Media for Let It Go. It also pulled in $1.2 billion at the box office, making it the highest-grossing animated film of all time. So, studio execs were quick to greenlight the sequel, which is slated for release sometime in November 2019. The core cast will return to reprise their roles, and the main character Elsa is rumored to have a female love interest. Disney and directors Buck and Lee may make Elsa a lesbian or bisexual character in Frozen 2 and introduce her female love interest. This is not yet confirmed by Disney and should be taken with a grain of salt as a result. The interest in revealing Elsa as a lesbian has come from the Give Elsa a Girlfriend online campaign. And if this report is true, it looks like this could be a rare fan movement to actually come to fruition. Whether you support this move or not, the fans have spoken, and they can't wait for this release. John Wick 3. The John Wick series brought Keanu Reeves out of retirement and back into the spotlight for a neo-noir action film that had critics and audiences alike on the edge of their seats. The movie earned a respectable $88 million at the box office against a $30 million budget. Though it pales in comparison to some of the other box office successes on this countdown, Hollywood took note and greenlit it to a sequel, which more than doubled the box office success of its predecessor with a $171 million at the box office. The movie was also helmed by famous stunt coordinator David Leitch, which made for consistently compelling action sequences. All this has created a lot of hype leading up to the next installment of the series, John Wick 3: Parabellum. Keanu Reeves' legendary Hitman will be back on the screen for more bullet-riddled adventures on May 17, 2019. The sequel kicked off production in May, and now we have visual confirmation of two major returning characters from the first two films. John Wick director Chad Stahelski will return behind the camera for John Wick 3: Parabellum, and screenwriter Derek Kolstad is confirmed to be penning the script for the film, after having written the first two installments of the series. Dark Phoenix, the fourth in the Next Generation series following First Class, Days of Future Past, and Apocalypse, will follow Deadpool 2. Originally tipped to arrive in November 2, 2018, it's been pushed back in a major 20th Century Fox release date reshuffle, and now you'll be able to see it from February 5, 2019 in the UK and February 14, 2019 in the US. That delay allowed for a reported 3 months of extensive reshoots to rework the ending of the movie. Rumors that the core cast would be back have been confirmed, with James McAvoy, Michael Fassbender, and even Jennifer Lawrence, who didn't seem particularly into X-Men Apocalypse, but chose to come back to complete her character's story, reprising their roles as Charles Xavier, Magneto, and Mystique. Nicholas Hoult as Beast, Alexandra Shipp as Storm, Ty Sheridan as Cyclops, and Cody Smith-McPhee as Nightcrawler are all returning, as well as Game of Thrones' Sophie Turner as Jean Grey, around whom the whole story will revolve. The original's Summer Fontana will apparently play a younger version of Jean. Jessica Chastain has been cast too. She has shot down rumors that she is playing the alien Shi'ar Empress, Lilandra Naramani, who has been billed as a villain in the film. This stacked cast will all but guarantee another huge box office win for the Marvel Universe. Sonic the Hedgehog. If you were a big fan of the Sega system back in the day, then you know all about Sonic the Hedgehog, since he eventually became the face of Sega. For a while now, Sonic has had more of an off-screen presence than on, since his cartoons and comics have been about the only way anyone's been able to really see the Blue Speedster, apart from the games that he's shown up in the past several years. But getting to see him on the big screen is going to be a treat. It's been confirmed that a few characters have already been cast, such as James Marston, who will be playing a live-action character. Ben Schwartz, who's already completed many popular voice roles, will be taking over the voice of Sonic, while Jim Carrey, who hasn't been seen in some time, will be taking on the role of Dr. Robotnik. There are many other characters in the Sonic series as well, so you can imagine as the film continues to develop, it will drag a few more big names to the roster, and possibly make it an even bigger deal than it already is. One thing that never fails to at least lure people in when it comes to a movie is the possibility of seeing someone they know and like in a film featuring another iconic character that they grew up with in part. This movie will be shot both with live action and CGI sequences, and is slated for a May 2019 release date. Spider-Man: Far From Home. By the time Spider-Man: Far From Home hits theaters in July 2019, it will likely be actor Tom Holland's fifth turn as the web-slinging superhero. Given how intense the first three films have been, particularly Avengers Infinity War, fans will be expecting an impressive adventure from the actor's second solo outing, and Marvel Studios appears to be filling out the high-profile cast with that in mind. The latest update on the film offers what might be our first look at Jake Gyllenhaal as the film's villain, Mysterio. With director John Watts returning behind the camera, the sequel to Spider-Man: Homecoming will be set after the events of Infinity War, and its still untitled May 2019 sequel, and will take the famous wall crawler on a globe-spanning adventure. In May, The Hollywood Reporter first announced that Gyllenhaal was in talks to portray Mysterio, a frequent foe of Spider-Man in the Marvel comic universe. Created by Stan Lee and Steve Ditko, and first introduced in a 1964 issue of The Amazing Spider-Man, Mysterio is the alter ego of Quentin Beck, a special effects expert who uses his talents to pull off elaborate crimes. Mysterio is considered one of Spider-Man's most troublesome enemies, as he often makes Spider-Man question his own senses and perception of the world around him, relying more on psychological and chemical weapons than physical attacks. This will be Gyllenhaal's first official role in a mainstream superhero movie, after coming close to landing the lead roles in both the original Spider-Man franchise and Christopher Nolan's Dark Knight trilogy. Hopefully this new angle will attract audiences for this potential summer blockbuster. Let us know in the comment section below what movie you're most excited to see in 2019. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to leave a like. Thanks for watching.